One other thing we see inside as another proof. We know that until the time of Galileo Galilei, everybody in the world was sure that there's between 6,000 to 8,000 stars, because there's no way to count. We did not have telescopes yet, and people were standing on mountains and trying to count the stars. But when Galileo Galilei, in the year 1608, developed his telescope 6 feet wide and raised it to the sky, everybody got shocked. We just realized there's so many galaxies that we cannot see without a telescope. Everybody realized it's much more than 8,000 stars. In the Torah, it says that Abraham was blessed by God. I will multiply your descendants like the sands in the ground and like the skies in heaven. So the Gentiles were asking a question. You say that God blessed Abraham. You have to make up your mind. Did he bless him? Or maybe it's not such a blessing after all. If we go by the sand on the ground, there is trillions and trillions of sand. You cannot count how much sand on the earth. But if we go by the stars, 6,000 or 8,000 stars, it's not such a great blessing to have a nation of 8,000 people. The Jews always answered, you go by what you see. There are plenty of things you cannot see. If God wrote in the Torah that he blessed Abraham like the sand and like the skies, that means there are plenty of stars. But the interesting part is that when we review the actual text of the oral Torah, most of the proof that I'm bringing here comes actually from the oral text. So this comes from Masechet Brachot, from the chapter of blessing, Brachot, page 32, the left side of the page. This is an interesting conversation that the prophets, the rabbis of 2200 years ago, used to sit in the Knesset, 120 members, had a dialogue with God. And this is what they wrote. God said to the nation of Israel, my daughter, 12 sections I created in heaven. And in each section I created 30 armies. And in each army I created 30 legions. In each legion I created 30 raton. In each raton I created 30 karaton. In each karaton I created 30 gisteras. In each gistera I hung 365,000 multiplied by 10,000 stars. And all of that I created for the nation of Israel. And you have the nerve to tell me that I neglected you, that I forgot about you? This is appearing in the Oral Torah, chapter of Brachot, page 32. So now, let's calculate together. 12 sections, that's by the way where the horoscope comes from. You know, the earth goes around the sun. Every year it's finished an entire circle, 365 days. So every month, the earth is traveling 30 degrees. So that means 12 times 30 is 360 degrees. That's an entire circle. So now, 12 times 30 times 30 times 30 times 30 times 30 times 365,000 times 10,000, it gives us the final result of 10 to the power of 19 stars. This was written in a generation that there was no telescope, no satellite, no NASA, no equipment to be able to count more than 8,000 stars. No human being would even dream to write such a thing in a book. But obviously it was written and transferred from hand to hand. This was given to the Jews in Mount Sinai 3,318 years ago. For sure, no human being was able to write such a thing. Let's see what the scientists have to tell us today. In the year 1990, Dr. T. Brewer from Queen Mary College in London had a research with the assistance of mega computers. A mega computer is sometimes the size of a building. And he found that it's 10 to the power of 19 stars in the universe. we have to make one thing clear. We are not arguing if there's 10 to the power of 19 or 10 to the power of 20 or 21 or 23, because the scientists will come with all kinds of different results, because the satellites are taking pictures of all the galaxies and a computer counting, and obviously every time they come up with a different result. That's not the issue here. We are not going to argue which one of the scientists is right. We only want to highlight one important fact. The Torah, if those who claim the Torah was written by a human being, as smart as he may be, we have to now challenge them and ask them, do you know any human being that was able to write 3,318 years ago that he created 12 sections, and in each one 30 and 30 and 30 and 30 and 30 and 365,000 multiplied by 10,000, and he came with such an extraordinary number that nobody could even dream about. If you would write such a thing, people would think you're a mental case. Nobody would be able to know to write such a thing. So obviously that's an indication that it's divine information. I want to move forward.